It's hard to believe, isn't it, that we're coming up on their 1-year anniversary, but it's been an amazing year, and I think really Meghan has thrown herself in at the deep end. We have to remember that this is a lady that grew up with absolutely no knowledge really of the British royal family. She didn't grow up watching them in the way British people do, Australian, Canadians, who, you know, for the royal family when they're a part of our everyday lives. And so the fact that she has thrown herself in with enthusiasm and she's just got stuck in and she's really been a tremendous support to Prince Harry, I think that's what we should be celebrating. But in terms of the highlights, for me, the ultimate highlight really was, boom, they arrive in Australia and baby's on the way. I mean, that was such an exciting way to start that tour. And I think before Meghan even went on that tour, people were already saying, gosh, this is going to be quite an initiation, because it's one thing to know what to expect on a royal tour. It's quite another when you're actually living it and doing it. Numerous engagements a day, numerous outfit changes, jet lag, extreme temperatures, huge numbers of people to meet, speeches to give. I mean, they're not for the faint of heart. People love to say, oh, it's a jolly at taxpayers' expense, but I'd like to see anyone else take on that kind of jolly. So I think Harry and Meghan's tour really around the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, that was an amazing trip. And what a way to kick it off with the announcement that they were expecting their first child. I think that just made it even more special. The wedding day itself was magnificent. I was fortunate enough to be in a studio at the end of the Long Walk, which was the long stretch of driveway that leads up to Windsor Castle where they did their carriage procession. And the atmosphere in Windsor that day was absolutely electrifying. Now, of course it helped, the weather was beautiful and there were Pim's tents set up. So everyone had come with picnics and with family members and the flags were waving. But it really was Britain at its very best. We can often be a nation of moaners who love to complain, and of course people love to say nobody's interested, nobody cares. But what was very clear that day was a huge number of people cared. People cared about the wedding, they cared about the historical significance, they cared that Harry, this little boy that we'd seen walking behind his mother's funeral procession, was getting his happy ending. And they cared that he was marrying someone who now reflected British society as it is today, this multicultural, multi-heritage society, and she had been welcomed with open arms. The fact that Prince Charles walked Meghan partway down that aisle, the fact that the royal family embraced her so openly and so publicly, and that Doria stood representing Meghan's whole family on one side of the chapel alone, the epitome of dignity and class, I think that really summed up the day. It was a day of celebration, it was a day of happiness, and I think there was so much hope that day. People were really excited to see what Harry and Meghan were going to do next. It was exciting this year for Meghan to announce her first patronages, because people were keen to see, is she going to follow through with what her interests were in pre-royal family, of course that being the welfare of women's issues, education, animals. But I think actually outside of the patronages that were announced, it was her involvement in the Hub Community Kitchen cookbook that I think really made everyone stand up and go, this lady's interesting, and this lady's interested in supporting a community, but without all the glory. And I think that's what's interesting, because coming from a celebrity background, oftentimes we'll see celebrities come and support a cause, but they also sort of want their name attached. So that's the world that Meghan knew before. Now, she never wanted the glory before. She was doing things without all the press following her. But a lot of her involvement in that Hub Community Kitchen cookbook, people didn't know about it for months, not until the book was about to come out, until it was launched, by which stage she'd met with these ladies numerous times. She'd been to visit the kitchens, she'd written the foreword, she'd had a huge involvement in the layout of the book. And so I think that really spoke volumes in terms of Meghan's approach. So the people that are criticising her for coming from this celebrity background, actually she's left all the celebrity behind and she just wants to further promote the things that she's interested in. She loves food, she loves cooking, that was all on her website, The TIG, so what a great place to really get stuck in and get started.